Of all the numerous and varied organisms of the Tyranid race, there have been examples of certain individual creatures that have, beyond doubt, gained a measure of notoriety throughout the galaxy. These beasts can range from truly one-of-a-kind specimens, primogenitor organisms, or remarkably infamous examples of their own particular bioform strains. One of these distinctive organisms is known amongst Imperial forces simply as Old One-Eye. Old One-Eye is a unique specimen of Carnifex that first appeared amongst the forces of Hive Fleet Behemoth, and was at the forefront of the Hive Fleet's assault upon the world of Calv, as the Hive Fleet went on a nigh unstoppable rampage throughout the realm of Ultramar during the First Tyrannic War. The Carnifex cut a swath of destruction through Imperial forces, and was observed as tearing through Leman Russ battle tanks as if they were made from paper. But Old One-Eye would be brought down by one of the world's defenders, whose name has been lost to the annals of history, fired their plasma pistol at the creature, blasting through the Carnifex's eye socket and into its brain, killing it instantly. However, this death would not be the end of the creature, as many decades later, a band of smugglers would uncover the frozen corpse of Old One-Eye from the world's ice flows in hopes of being able to sell such a pristine corpse to the biologists of the Adeptus Mechanicus. As its icy prison began to thaw, the Carnifex would, with the exception of the wound within its eye socket that led to its initial death, begin regenerating from its wounds almost immediately. The fact the creature could not regenerate its damaged eye would also lead to the creature earning the name of Old One-Eye by Imperial forces. Old One-Eye would slaughter the smugglers with impunity before going on a rampage of mindless and purely instinctive butchery, laying waste to transport convoys and even massacring entire settlements upon Calth. Old One-Eye's presence would begin attracting other Tyranid bioforms to its presence, creatures that had long been abandoned and separated from the control of the hive mind that instinctively viewed the Carnifex as an alpha organism. As Old One-Eye ran amok across Calv, the Ultramarine Scout Sergeant, Sgt Talion, would lead a task force intent on tracking down and slaying the Carnifex. As Old One-Eye tore apart Talion's men, the Scout Sergeant would seemingly deliver a killing blow to the creature by making a near impossible shot through the beast's ruined and still unregenerated eye socket, causing it to rear in pain and stumble off the edge of a cliff into a deep ravine. While the creature was presumed dead, Talion and the surviving members of his squad would conduct a hunt for Old One-Eye's carcass, but even after several weeks of searching, it was never found. Since then, Carnifex specimens matching Old One-Eye's description have appeared and been subsequently destroyed numerous times upon various other worlds throughout the realm of Ultramar and even beyond. So what could the reasoning be behind Old One-Eye's apparent immortality? Some have speculated that Old One-Eye was an early attempt at cellular regeneration by the Hive Fleets, essentially making it a prototype organism. This wouldn't be entirely unprecedented, as there have been various unique Tyranid organisms that have originated before a more widespread and mass-produced variant of the bioform appears months, years, or even centuries later. One of the more notable in this regard is a unique species of zoanthrope known as the Doom of Malan'tai. The Doom of Malan'tai was so named for its role in almost single-handedly laying waste to the Eldari craft world of Malan'tai, following the craft world's destruction of Hive Fleet Naga. As the last bioship launched its mycetic spores towards the craft world's defenders focused on destroying creatures such as Tyranid warriors and Carnifexes, which they deemed as more immediate threats to their home, leaving a unique zoanthrope specimen undisturbed, as unbeknownst to the Eldari, it began to feed upon the souls of the dead within the craft world's infinity circuit. The Doom of Malan'tai was able to use the souls it consumed to to increase its own psychic power until it grew so powerful that it laid waste to the entire craft world, leaving it a lifeless husk. While this specific organism has not been documented since, variations of the zoanthrope strain, known as neurothropes, which demonstrate near identical abilities to those displayed by the Doom of Malan'tai, have since begun to appear throughout the various Hive Fleet tendrils of the Tyranid swarm. As such, seeing as many Carnifex specimens had also begun exhibiting regenerative abilities since the introduction of the 4th edition Tyranid Codex, the idea that Old One-Eye is the primogenitor of these specific types of Carnifexes that have evolved the Regeneration biomorph trait isn't entirely outside the realm of possibility. This in turn could simply mean that sightings of Old One-Eye within other Hive fleets could be little more than a case of mistaken identity. The problem with this, however, is due to the fact that with the release of the 8th edition Tyranid Codex, Old One-Eye is seemingly the only Tyranid organism that displays the ability to regenerate from its wounds, with the exception of the Endless Regeneration Warlord trait, which itself is unique to organisms from Hive Fleet Hydra. Because Old One-Eye has been able to display rapid cellular regeneration, it could be possible that this particular Carnifex is simply an unstable mutant or genetic reject, a speculation that itself is brought up within the 3rd edition Tyranid Codex. Perhaps in this regard, the Hive Fleet sought to replicate the regenerative properties that had been demonstrated by the unique types of humans known as perpetuals, who are able to regenerate from death itself. The Hive Fleets have been known to reconstitute consumed DNA into new and terrifying creatures or adaptations for the swarm. The only problem with this idea is that a perpetual would need to have been consumed and its DNA woven into the genetic sequence of the Tyranids at an incredibly early point during Behemoth's first incursion into the galaxy, as Old One-Eye itself was part of this vanguard tendril. But in either case, this doesn't explain how Old One-Eye is able to keep resurrecting itself from death, as well as appearing upon other worlds despite seemingly being trapped upon Calth. Because Old One-Eye has been spotted upon numerous worlds, following its apparent death at the hands of Sgt Talion, as well as within a multitude of different Tyranid Hive Fleet tendrils, including that of Hive Fleet Leviathan, there is perhaps another reason as to why Old One-Eye keeps coming back from the dead. It's possible that the genetic template for Old One-Eye specifically exists within the biological databanks of the Tyranid fleets, and while the creature may prove to be too genetically unstable to essentially mass-produce the Regeneration biomorph within all their bioform strains, Old One-Eye's genetic blueprint could still be reconstituted on rare occasions to act as a nigh unstoppable creature of pure brute force against especially stubborn or resilient foes. This would not only explain as to how Old One-Eye could appear upon numerous worlds as part of multiple Hive fleets, but similar such occurrences have been demonstrated by other unique Tyranid specimens. The most notable in this particular instance is that of the Swarm Lord. A unique variation of the Hive Tyrant bioform, the Swarm Lord is a synapse creature that demonstrates the ability to respawn after being slain time and time again across multiple Hive fleets. Whenever the Swarm Lord dies, its consciousness, as well as its memories and, in turn, its experiences, are reabsorbed by the hive mind's synaptic web, before it will eventually become reborn within a new body. This trait makes the Swarm Lord an incredibly cunning, intelligent, and exceptionally dangerous foe, as it will retain all the memories of its past lives, allowing it to adapt and overcome almost any situation upon the battlefield, as well as making sure it will not make the same mistake that led to its death again. A similar such situation would prove a reasonable explanation as to how Old One-Eye is able to not only reappear after being slain, but also why it can be spotted within a multitude of hive fleets. The fact that Old One-Eye was seen as an alpha organism by lesser Tyranid bioforms, as well as being seemingly able to influence some measure of control over them, could also suggest that this particular Carnifex is a type of semi-synaptic organism, which in turn could also explain the psychic link Old One-Eye could have in order to allow its own particular consciousness to be reabsorbed into the hive mind's synaptic web. What do you think? Leave a comment below, and thanks for watching.